Hey everybody, welcome to the REDX show where we bring ridiculously awesome people on so that you can build stability and find opportunity in any marketplace. So we're excited that you're here and watching today's episode. Today we have Danica Kosztolnyik. Did I say it right?
You did it, yeah. Nailed it.
And I still fumbled. I should have just rolled with it.
Yeah,
so
you did an
thanks so much
job.
for being here. Danica is a loan officer, which we're mixing it up a little bit from our traditional real estate agents, but you know a little bit about real estate.
A little bit, yeah.
And working with agents. So we're excited about today's show. A few reminders for the people who are watching. The best way to take advantage of this is to participate, to engage, to ask your questions. And we have a team that's either going to answer, or I'll be able to ask those directly to Danica, your questions, to get those answered. Because if you don't take something and use it in your business and find action after the show, then it was kind of for naught. So please participate and be there. So if you could give us a shout out, make sure all of the tech is working, give us a shout out, tell us where you're from in the comments. That way we know everything's working the way it should. So we'd appreciate that. And then I gotta ask here. I apologize. I need to pull up where I can see the comments. Andrew, where do I find those? Gotcha. Okay. Well, Danica, why don't you we start with you giving an introduction. Tell us your background. You have a tremendous amount of experience in the industry, a lot of success. You're the world's best loan officer.
World's greatest loan officer.
I'm so sorry.
World's greatest loan officer.
You're the best and the greatest. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Give us a little bit about you and we'll go from there.
Sure. So I'm Danica, world's greatest loan officer. I'm only licensed in Texas, which is a little bit odd. I realize that's kind of ironic. But I started in this business 20 years ago when I was barely 20 years old, and I was underwriting for the first 16 years of that. So I was approving loans for VA and FHA and USDA, and I burnt out 4 years ago. So I just put on the loan officer hat and thought I would go consumer direct. So I started building crazy funnels and generating leads and trying to figure out, I didn't even know at the beginning I needed to talk to realtors. So still to this day, I'm generating 70% of my own business on Facebook, mostly organically, some lead gen. Right now is a great time to do a bunch of funnels. So I'm going back to that, and we'll touch on that, I guess, at the end. Otherwise, I'm really great at mortgages, so I can take that part for granted and then just play with the marketing piece of it. I think it's been a whole lot of fun through this pandemic, getting the marketing out there, because it's just blown up.
Right.
I'm sure you've seen that in what you're doing too.
Yeah, I think there's a hyper focus and a need for connection. And we're looking for connection in any way that we can find it. So I think we've seen that definitely with more engagement, more community, a feeling of community. And then we view our role in large part as facilitators of that community. And I don't know if that's kind of the same strategy that you have in your business, but why don't you tell us, because not everyone is sitting around going, man, this has really been fun for my business.
No, I just think
6 million people have applied for unemployment. I mean, there's a lot of people that are going, this is not fun. So tell us why it's been so fun.
So what it did do in the mortgage industry was everything came to a screeching halt 90 days ago. So we didn't have bank statement loans to help the self-employed. We didn't have less than 640 credit scores. All of a sudden, manufactured homes were gone, renovation loans were gone, reverse mortgages were gone. All those things happened all at once. So what I had to do as a mortgage professional was take care of my database first. So anyone who met those criteria, I had to get in there and eat the frog and pull the Band-Aid off and call them and let them know that, hey, this is a hold for now, but here's what we're going to do. I'm going to line out the steps to get your credit score fixed. You're going to save some money. And at the end of this 90 days, if we don't get there, then at least we're closer. So here's some things we can be doing. I can't get you closed right now, but we will. So I got them off my plate in the first 2 weeks of this pandemic. And then I was like, okay, now what? Well, it was really clear because I couldn't help everybody. I could help veterans. I can help first-time home buyers that have a little bit of money and a 580 credit score. I can still help those people. So it streamlined my efforts so uniquely on those people that I've gotten I'm working with people I love and find realtors I like. We're all connecting in a different way because none of us want to put pants on. So it's, I kind of had that technology market cornered beforehand. So this is the pandemic I was made to do. I love doing these kinds of things, and it's working out really nicely.
Good. Well, that's amazing. So you started with your database, and then it sounds like you worked to segment the database into who you could help now and who you couldn't. Tell me more about that.
So I legitimately pulled in all of my applications and sorted them by credit score and urgency and made a list of 60 people I needed to help in the 90 days. So I was able to reach out to them every day, every other day, kind of based on their priority and the urgency of the situation. And it turned out I had like 5 to 10 refis and like 50 purchases. So all of those people are getting under contract now. I got 4 over the weekend and 7 last week. Like it's raining contracts, but that's because of all the work I got to do 90 days ago.
Sure.
And continued doing. So it was more, I think clarity is what really it was forced clarity because we don't have a whole lot of options to distract us anymore in the mortgage business. They're coming back though. I think they're coming back.
Yeah. Tell me with that clarity, what about the segment of people you couldn't help? What is the message to them? They just go in the wastebasket, or tell me how you nurtured those people or stayed in touch?
So the majority of them were still working on their credit, and with that 580 to 640 credit score segment, or the ones that needed down payment assistance, there wasn't anything I could do. Down payment assistance was gone, and they didn't meet the crazy overlays that we put on that lower credit score segment. So I had to just call them and tell them, hey, we need you to have 3 months reserves after you close. You have $10,000 saved, and that's great, but I need you to have $15,000 now. Or if you want to close right now, or we can wait 90 days until the overlays start falling off. And fortunately, I was some sort of Nostradamus of mortgages because it's starting to happen. So we were pretty tight at under 640, and now we're good under 620, over 620. So it's kind of evening out now to where I think it's all going to roll back in, right? That's how I played it. Like it was just dumb luck. I think that it's playing into my favor now because the programs are coming back, and I helped those 20 or 30 people that couldn't be helped immediately. And then I stayed in touch with them throughout this whole thing.
So did you, before this and the clarity that this has brought, did you in marketing, we call that segmentation. You take your database and you create segments. Did you do that before COVID?
I mean, I did, but I don't think I segmented it well enough. I was still kind of in a mindset of call anybody every day. I didn't have a strategy to my phone calls. And so I started like time blocking time out for those people that I segmented in the challenged category. And then I could focus on the ones that aren't challenged and really make them a priority. So I was able to step up my customer service with them and with their agents to make sure that we got them under contract while the market was, pretty easy to get someone under contract while everyone was sitting at home. If my agents were willing to go do it, that's who got the contracts, and they were. So I was just sitting here making phone calls, and they were showing properties behind everyone's back. We were blowing stuff up. It was literally the best pandemic ever. I doubled my production.
That's amazing. And how much would you attribute that to then your time, the segmentation of the list? And because this sounds like the 80-20 rule, right? As soon as we focus the majority of our time where we get the majority of our business. So how much of you doubling your production was due to this clarity and segmentation and understanding where should I focus my time?
Oh, I'd say 80% of it, not to be tongue in cheek, but it was night and day. Because I could spend 4 hours a day having high intent phone calls with people that legitimately wanted to sign my application and legitimately wanted to buy a house. And now I can't turn it off. So I'm gonna keep going. Like I had to scrap my entire 2020 business plan and start over. But I did, and it's working.
Yeah. Well, and I think your ability to pivot like that and even say what you just said is a lot of businesses fail because they won't pivot.
Yeah.
And they hold on to that business plan that they had, and they just keep grinding, trying to make it work instead of going, time to pivot.
Well, I think it's because I describe myself as, can I say batshit passionate? Because that's how I describe myself. So like when the pandemic hit, I was like, dang it, this is never going to be okay again. And I like deleted all the stuff on my calendar in like this woe is me rage. But it was the most clear thing I could do, because then I had to rebuild my calendar.
So advice, take that, guys. Advice number 1, delete your calendar,
start over.
And start over.
I think that's what it's time to do. I mean, we're in a different market, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
But it's still summer buying season. It's still summer selling season. It's time to move.
Well, and why? I mean, this is more of this gets into mindset question, I guess. But why all of a sudden are you? I think a lot of people kind of held back and said, okay, I'm going to wait and I want to see what this market does, or I'm going to wait until things just come back. And you're saying we're in a different market. It's a different world. Things are different. And talk to me about that. And more talking to our audience that's listening to this. How do they get out of that? Okay, I'm going to sit back, curl up, watch the world burn for a couple months, and then I'm going to just get back to work thinking that everything's going to go back to normal.
For me, none of that stuff has ever been negotiable. I noticed that when I do make the phone calls and when I do run the funnels and when I do post 5 to 7 times a day on Facebook, I have plenty of people to talk to that want to buy a house that I enjoy talking to. Like, I've found my ideal client and my niche of people that I want. So I just go get them now. I just cast my net pretty wide. And in so doing, I can help my agents get what they need too. So talk about tying that in with what y'all's technology is, like that's powerful stuff. You can reach a whole lot of very detailed people and say exactly what you want to thousands of people at the same time.
Right.
So it's really, and that's what I've always been doing. So legit, when I say this is what I was built for, I would love to stay in my house and not wear pants, and also get to drink with my friends on Zoom calls all the time. I don't have to drive anywhere. I can just sit here and be silly and do my funnels and play my mortgages. And I'm just loving it. I think it's super fast work days and lots of time with the kids.
Oh, that's amazing.
Lots of time without the kids. Yeah, it's just a whole redesign, not anything I was prepared for. I walked into it stressed out. I'm coming out of it more clear and more confident.
Well, and that clarity again, just I want to make sure people don't, because it doesn't matter what business you're in. This is amazing sound advice. It's the clarity came. Let me play it back, and you tell me if this is correct. One was, well, there's three things. One was just the mindset of, okay, we got to. What I was planning to do has got to change because the market is different. It's changed, and I've got to be okay letting that go and start over. That was number one. Number two was getting really clear about who do I need to get on the phone with, who should I be spending my time with, and that's all about taking your database and sorting them or segmenting them into different buckets of who you wanted to spend time with, and then spending the majority of your time with those people.
Exactly. I worked backwards into it. I worked backwards into what you just said. So I started with, I want to close 20 mortgages in the next 90 days each month. I want to close 20 mortgages a month. So I had to visualize where I could get them from. Like, I really had to step back and look at what do I have? And there were 170 things in my pipeline. I'm like, well, I can't talk to 170 people. I can make 20 solid phone calls a day. So I segmented them off to, I need to call 100 people a week, and here's 100 people I'm going to focus on. And it was super clear at that point, because I couldn't help the ones under 580 or the ones with less than $2,000 in the bank. Like, I could talk them off the ledge and get them set on their way. So they would, quote unquote, be out of my hair for a minute, so I could really focus on where my bread's going to be buttered over the next 90 days. And that clarity afforded me exactly that. Like, I've got almost 20 closing in June. I'm not quite there. So if any Texas agents are listening, I need 2 or 3 more, and I'll hit my huge, ridiculous goal. Because remember, I just started the sales stuff 3.5 years ago. Like I just kind of fell into how this works, and I'm just starting to define it, and it really works well in this environment.
Well, that's amazing. For the audience, and especially for any other loan officers, tell us again one more time what your segments were. You said credit score and urgency.
Yeah. So I had stayed in touch with all of them, but I was kind of bouncing around the 170 people in no really organized fashion. And so I just looked at my data. I just sat back and put it on a really big computer screen and looked at what data I had. And I had credit score, I had an asset account, I had a loan amount, and whether they were putting 3% down, 5% down, those kinds of things. I sorted it by that data and then prioritized it based on the credit score. So I pulled the top 60 credit score people out and just started banging them on the phones and trying to gauge their urgency. Hey, you want to move tomorrow, or are you trying to wait until summer starts? And so then I put them in order, like in 3 different columns, and I rotate through the columns. Column 1 being the urgent. But it was more just a feeling my customers out and knowing how to gauge their urgency and ask the right questions, I think. But they're all sliding into contract right now, and we're finishing the pandemic at a really alarming level of production.
That's amazing. And what an amazing thing to be able to support the real estate agents in your market in their business so that they can get through this as well. Because there is a lot of rhetoric right now about frustration with mortgages. And you're mentioning we're kind of coming out of that, programs are coming back. What just your opinion on pull out your crystal ball. Is it going to continue to be frustrating? And what are the reasons behind all of this frustration and long approval times? And
I think refinances and lower rates being like ungodly low for the last 60 days. They were in the high 2s and low 3s. And a bunch of loan officers took advantage of that and refinanced their entire pipeline. Well, that bogged down everybody from start to finish, from servicers to investors to lenders to everybody. And ultimately it impacted the borrowers because our liquidity in mortgages has seized up. And if we can't get our money paid back, we don't have future money to lend. So when 30% of American homeowners stopped paying their mortgage payment, that hurt us as lenders. Well, what do you cut out as a business? You cut out your most risky things first. So anything that was below 640 had 10 or 15 overlays added overnight, where they had to, meet ridiculous qualifications to still meet FHA and VA guidelines. But those are coming down right now. Like 90 days later, we can pretty much get them done with very minimal overlays now. The other thing I think will come back sooner than later is down payment assistance programs, which will really help. Like that'll get 10 or 15 more of my people that I had nurtured earlier back into the game because they just need the money. They had the credit score and they didn't have $10,000 to pull out of a bank anywhere at the time.
Right.
And, some of them lost their jobs. There's been a lot of fallout from that. So it's just the mortgage market is confused. The rates didn't do anything like they historically would. Nobody predicted that they would be that low.
Yeah, it's been interesting. Even I did a refinance during this.
And if you didn't, you missed the mark.
Well, it was, and we did finish. We closed, but they were asking for the most ridiculous things.
Yeah,
and
that's kind of how it is.
Yeah, and I get it. 36 million people. Who knows who's going to have jobs? In a couple of weeks, and more caution and things like that. So, Danica, let me switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about your relationships. I heard you say twice now, my agents. Talk to me about your relationship with real estate agents and how important that is to your business.
So that was another thing I got to get real. I've been clear on it, but I don't work with agents I don't like, that I wouldn't drink with. Like I think it's more fun to work with people that don't panic when we get into situations, and there's always a solution and not a problem. I really feel like the mindset of my agent is as important as my marketing that I do for myself, because I don't want to work with jerks.
Right.
So I've been able to only find agents I like to work with because I contribute equally. It's a partnership. So I only have 7 or 8 partners right now, and 2 or 3 or 4 of them are where my bread is buttered, because we're we're bouncing back and forth. I like the way they work transactions. We communicate effectively. They like my team. It flows well. And when that flows well and you have that synergy with your partners, the client feels it and you get 5-star reviews and you get referrals. And it's what the world's greatest loan officer really is. That's what your customers deserve, is that level of service. And if you don't have a relationship with the person, the most important person on the transaction, then you're just destined to get in stupid arguments about stupid stuff and let little things become mountains. And it's just not how I play the game. I just kind of want to enjoy what I do and do a good mortgage for people.
Well, and the client suffers in that situation, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So I think the 3-card thing is bullshit, honestly.
Yeah.
I think you work with who you love, work with who you think is going to do best with your clients. And I'm the same way. If I'm getting 70% of my clients from my high school yearbook, from Facebook, organic social media, I want them to work with the best agent in North Texas. I want them to have a pleasurable experience on that side too. So who I work with matters, and who they work with matters in the same way. Like, we're a reflection of each other. I also don't buy coffee or lunches. We split it because we're grown-ups. We've got a lot of stuff to do and we build our businesses together.
Right. So you're not paying for the relationship. It's
no.
a true partnership.
Yeah, but I'll pay for funnels here and there. If my agent has a listing, I'll build them out a funnel to get some buyer leads to work together for their listing, or an open house. Like, that's how I built my business, was with those funnels. We generated 8,500 leads just from my agent's listings.
Well, let's talk about that, because that's amazing. And agents want partners that can help them generate 8,500 leads.
Right.
So
that's $2 a pop. Yeah.
So talk to us about that.
Well, like I said, the listing and open house funnels, you just dangle the carrot. People don't want a mortgage, they want the house. So you give them the prettiest picture of the house you got, a little taste of what's inside it, and don't give them the address or the sales price, and then connect it to a landing page that asks for name, email address, phone number. And you get that and fires them right off into your computer, where it starts emailing and texting, and they start getting phone called by us and VAs. And it's a hot mess of robot duct tape and desperation, I think. And I think it's coming together. I think it's coming together better now these days, because I've got better robots and I know more about stuff. But I mean, getting here was a journey. But yeah, that funnel is what built all of it. It was just saying, here's your house. Do you want to know more information? Give me your name. And they did.
On where at? On Facebook? On what? Okay.
Yeah, just straight up through Facebook lead gen campaigns. It's nothing complicated. It's the simplest funnel you can ever build. But then we're having good luck with other kinds too, like VA and this super targeting, where we were talking about at the beginning. If you get super clear on who you're trying to hit, all you got to think of is, what do I want to say to my client, and say it. Get their attention. And then you get their information, and then you follow up with them. Like, it's really not rocket surgery. It's just being social on social media.
That's a novel concept,
right?
So I love that idea. I think it is complicated for a lot of people. Where does somebody start to build a funnel? And is there technologies that they should go and buy that you're using that help them build out the ads? Are you paying another marketing agency to do that? Are you doing it all? Tell us a little bit. Give us a peek behind the curtain here.
Yeah, I kind of just evolved. This is how I became the world's greatest loan officer. I just built funnels for people, because once you build one, you can duplicate it, and it gets easier, and you tweak it. And now I have 3 power funnels I run, and I got to build 4 of them today. And then two just generic ones that run at $5 a day all the time for new construction. And it's supposed to be a seller ad, but it's generating high intent buyer leads, all for $2 a day. So like 150 of my marketing budget personally is running that ad for me at $5 a day, all day, every day. Those 2 just run, because we have a really cool new construction program. So it rolls right into the houses that are eligible, generating business for me and my agents, with higher commissions on the new construction for them. And then the seller ad is just a stupid, hey, if you knew what your property was worth, would you sell it? With some emojis and nothing, really, no bells and whistles. It looks like a beginner funnel. It took me 10 minutes to build, and I think I was drunk when I built it. But it's scalable. Like, I've built it on 17 different agents and their ads manager, and I don't even pay for that one. They run it, and I connect those leads back to me, and then I help them follow up with them. So I'm getting more leads that they're paying for, and in exchange, I'm paying for leads. And really, frankly, doing more with my organic Facebook than any funnel has ever produced. Like, if you're in sales, you should be on Facebook and wide open to the world, telling your story. Like, that's really where most of my really good leads come from.
Is organic just engaging? And I've seen you engage a lot in Facebook groups, in real groups.
That's an understatement.
Where else do people start? I mean, if you're in a local area, what other groups, where are you engaging to build kind of that following and networking online?
I mean, I think it goes back to finding clarity on who you are and who you want to work with. So I know that I want to find the right agents for my clients. Well, my clients like what I like. You know, they like karaoke and wakeboarding and Pokemon or whatever it is. There's a little about me, you know. So you find those weirdos in those groups, you know, in Pokemon groups and in mom groups and in, you know, unicorn groups, whatever you're into. Go find those groups. They don't have to be mortgage or real estate related. You just kind of get in there and start poking around and adding value. And eventually you become the subject matter expert. The most important thing about social media is that people like you and that they know what you do. So it doesn't matter that I'm in there. I'm not going to go in there and wave my, hey, I'm the world's greatest loan officer flag. I don't do that. I tag once at my office every single morning just to remind people what I do. Otherwise, I'm just having fun with, you know, posting 10 times in groups. I have a very ritualistic schedule where I post before I leave the house, and then I post at 11. And if I'm not posting again by 12:30, I start ticking. So the organic game is 5 to 7 posts a day, and then 10 more posts in groups that are engaging and, you know, add value, add content, make someone laugh. You know, you got to do something to get their attention.
Help me break that. I'm going to help us break that down, because people, again, the challenge is our purpose is trying to help create stability and help people create businesses that are sustainable. So if they can't take away, you know, their Post-it note that, you know, hopefully they're taking notes from. So I want to play back what you just said. 5 to 7 organic posts a day, 10 group posts in different groups.
So I have mortgage moms, loan officer groups.
And you said, and tell me about your ritual. If you're ritualistic, tell me again the times that you would get on and make sure throughout the day.
I get on Facebook when people are on Facebook because it's social. So when do you get on Facebook? You get on first thing when you wake up. You're putting your eyeballs in and you're scrolling through your feed to see what happened overnight. I don't know why we do that, because nothing happens overnight. So don't post between 9 and 6 in the morning. Nobody sees it. Nobody's there on Facebook to see it. But do post. You want to be the first post people see in the morning, and you want them to know exactly what you do. That's when their mind is fresh. So I check in at my office and do a morning motivational post every single day with the hashtag world's greatest LO. And if you hit that hashtag, you'll see thousands and thousands of morning motivation posts, checking in at my office, reminding people what I do and saying, hey, attaboy, let's go get them. You know, literally with the let's go, or here's what I'm thinking about. Here's my affirmation for the morning. I hope it helps you. And I did that religiously for the last 3.5 years. So it didn't start with what it is now. You know, I started with that post. That was the one non-negotiable post, was morning motivation. Just dig on Pinterest, or just Google something that makes me smile, or Google what you're going through at the time and see what meme you can find. Then write a little thing about it and post it to your friends, because that's going to help you find your ideal audience too, whether it's your agent or another loan officer or a client. People that identify with what inspires you is who you want to work with. Yeah, you find each other. So that's kind of what you do, is find your weirdos on the internet. And I keep it all cleaned out. Like, if someone's a real jerk, I block them. Like, I have 800 blocked because I don't have time for that madness. I'm trying to find my people, you know, so we can blow up my people.
Well, so I just want to point out something that you said, because I see this with new agents quite a bit, or new business owners, new mortgage. They come in and you go, well, who do you want to serve? Well, anybody who wants a mortgage, or anyone who wants to buy a house. And you go, well, you know, you got to narrow it down. How did you figure out I know you said, I want people I'd want to drink with, or people that I could hang out with. Have you always been that way, or what advice can you give people to try to really hone in on their target audience?
I think it was just a whole lot of failing forward. I think I was learning how to be a loan officer. Like I can do a mortgage, but I didn't know how to sell a thing. So I feel like throughout the first 3 years, it was a learning curve. I think that's the same for any salesperson. And the first year was an absolute shit show. You get kicked in the teeth and yelled at by agents, and you don't know what you're doing, and the underwriter hates you. But then you start to figure it out, and you start to grow but all those dramatic things you get crossed. The good starts infiltrating and the bad starts leaving. But there's a lot of bad stuff in learning how to sell. You get a lot of rejection and a lot of kicks to the teeth. So I think it's just how you get back up. And I have to get back up almost every single time. Like if a loan got declined, I took that rage and turned it into phone calls. Like, you know what, I'm mad about this. I got to replace it. So I'd make as many phone calls as I had to until I had 4 or 5 mortgage apps. At least one of them was closable, and then I could go to bed for the night. Like, I think you just got to use the anger and resentment that you have when trying to start anything and kind of turn it into something positive. So I just kept doing that. I just kept failing forward and making mistakes, and I don't want to work with people like that person anymore. So I'd cut that person out of my life and find a new agent that I liked working with.
Well, and I love the mindset. I love the scarcity mindset of saying, well, I don't want to work with that person, but they might bring me a deal. That toxicity that is in our life, as if the news and media and the world isn't, toxic enough with the messages, when really everything's amazing. I mean, we started the episode with you saying this is the best pandemic ever.
It is the best pandemic ever. It really is a great time to be doing what we're doing. Guess who wants to move right now? Everybody.
Yeah, everybody.
Everybody is tired of the 4 walls that have been surrounding them for the last 90 days. Every single person I don't know, I do. Like when that front door opens, I'm ready to run right now.
Right.
Because it's a lot to be confined for 90 days with your Zoom camera.
Right. And as much connection as we can try to facilitate digitally, it's just not the same,
But you know what? It's also still there's something really magical about that too, because I met you guys that way. We may not have connected because we don't live in the same place. So we may not have put pants on and had a networking meeting, but you know what? We met through a guy who I can't get off Zooms with, that's in South Carolina. And I have a group of real estate friends that I love to mess around with just for fun. And they're all over the country. Well, we're hopping on Zooms every other day and drinking together and laughing and getting to know each other. That's not an opportunity we had before because we just didn't think about it. But now you can jump on a Zoom call. We're like the Jetsons. Like we are living in the future right now. And I think those of us that embrace that and do more funnels and get more, like I'm doing all of my client consults on Zoom now. Not Zoom, Teams, to keep it secure. But, it's game changing what you can do when you're not commuting and having to drive and get pretty for networking activities. You just go from Zoom call to Zoom call. I have 6 hours of Zoom calls today. And so it's beautiful. But that's all I have to do today is 6 hours of Zoom calls. And then tomorrow I make 4 hours of phone calls and I'm done. It's very clear what I'm going to do every day when my feet hit the floor. And it's not negotiable because I've done it. Failing forward. How many of us on the sales roller coaster have had the best month ever followed by 2 months of zeros? Like that happened to me way more times than I would like to admit. So I refuse to have the zeros and over learning and messing it up. And, hey, if I don't make the phone calls, I don't have closings in 90 days. So, but having the wherewithal to understand that you have to make a phone call 90 days ago to get a closing today, and really being able to apply that on a granular level is the game changer. Like that's what's made all the difference in doubling my income year after year and keeping it 70% self-generated. That's hard for a loan officer. That's
really hard. And I hope people are finding the gold nuggets in the conversation here because I really love your mindset, Danica. I think
I've worked very hard on it.
Yeah. The silver lining in things and, that's so far it's my favorite quote. Is it's the best pandemic ever, and
that's been our hashtag. Wayne Salmon's coaching is where we came up with all that stuff. It's all that happy glitter and rainbows, and that's where that comes from. My
Well,
Human
I think
Nation
it's great,
side.
and I think if people would shift their mindset, then that's the first step towards going, okay, now I need a new plan. And if social is going to be their plan, if they're going to follow that, then you gave them the morning check-in. It's the non-negotiable post of the day.
And then add one. Then when's the next time you're on Facebook? When people are taking a smoke or a coffee break at 10:30, post something then. If I don't have a second post made by 10:30, that's when I start ticking.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I need to post something. So I'll run to Pinterest, find something. Scroll your Facebook feed. All you're looking for is content. So like I picked Dallas Cowboys, fidget spinners, Pokemon, whatever I felt like my audience would engage with, and made sure I posted something about that topic every day, Monday through Friday, because I needed my people to engage with the fun stuff that they love.
Well, and that sounds like how you've really honed in your target audience too, is the authenticity of your posts.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're posting about Pokemon and somebody doesn't like the professional non-professionalism of that, or whatever their excuse is,
right? Or Broadway, or face masks, or whatever is trending. Trending topics are great to post about. Look at it; they show it right on Facebook. What's trending right now? Find a meme that, what 4 weeks ago was Tiger King. So if you weren't posting a Tiger King meme, were you even marketing? I didn't watch the show, but I damn sure posted those memes, because that's what people were engaging with. And if you're not getting people to engage with you, they're not seeing what you do. They're not seeing your stuff. They're not seeing the morning motivation check-in.
Yeah.
So then the next one is lunch break, 12 to 1, always make a post there. But I started with a skeleton structure of that. So it was morning, noon, and after work was the first 3 posts I started with. And I just kept it true. Work. Yeah, morning, noon, and after work. So that's easy. That's easy.
How much time did that take?
15 minutes. It takes 5 minutes to make one post. Just think it out. Talk to yourself. If you're talking to yourself, you're talking to your ideal client, and or agent or business partner, whoever's watching. That's who you're talking to. Everybody buys houses and everybody wants to move. So just find the people that you want to help do that.
Right.
Help people that you want to help buy a house and move.
So help set expectations for people. They're going to start. If somebody said, you know what, I'm inspired, I'm going to do that morning, noon, and night, and then I'm going to add some in. How long does it take before you start to see the results of that?
Your mom and your aunt and your best friends from high school will engage with you all the time. And then it's kind of like a tumbleweed. So the first 90 days, you're not going to see a whole lot of results, and you're going to get frustrated because, nobody's just jumped into the closing table with me yet. But it's all about consistency. Like at this point, people start calling me if I haven't made a post by 10:15, because they're like, "Are you okay?" You could set your clock by approximately when I post every day, and it is that 5 to 7 times a day at certain times. So I think it's all about just getting the practice of doing one thing at a time. So add that morning post every single day. Don't do it on weekends because you'll go crazy, but Monday through Friday, add a morning motivation post. And then 2 weeks from now, add a lunchtime post. And then 2 weeks from then.
But the key really on that morning one is to use Facebook's check-in. Mm-hmm. It shows that you're at my mortgage broker office.
It shows that I'm at my business page on Facebook. So guess what that does to my Facebook? It shows that 2,800 people have visited Service First Mortgage in Arlington to meet with Danica. Well, 2,753 of them were me. But that, Facebook doesn't show you who visited. It just shows you how many times it's been visited. So every time you check in on Facebook, you're building your business brand and reminding people what you do. Luckily, mine says mortgage and loans and Danica, and that's memorable.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So it just kind of morphed into this over time. But I would say, to finish answering your last question, by 6 months, I was really getting people that would just jump into my messenger and they're like, "Hey, Danica, I want to buy a house. Can you help me?" And this is, the dude I sat next to in chemistry class in 10th grade, or anybody, anybody of the 5,000 people that are watching me, real estate agents, other loan officers. Like I get business from all over the place just by being relatable, authentic, and reminding people what I do in a sensitive way, not in a jam it down your throat kind of way. Because at the end of the day, nobody wants a mortgage. I don't need to throw up mortgages on my personal Facebook feed and turn everybody off. They just need to know what I do when they want to buy a house. And they do. And they call me. And so I get, at this point, 3.5 years in, 7 or 8 leads a week out of there that are solid people who already know, like, and trust me, that aren't going to shop me, that I'm going to be able to get, wham bammed through and connect with an agent. That's where the real long life, the relationship business is going to come from, is those real relationships.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's real people and all these social media profiles. If you get to know them, it's what we do. Like, you might call me if you need a mortgage person in Texas because I'm relatable.
Yeah.
And a little funny.
Yeah. And I often am on Zoom calls without pants also. So we have a lot of talk.
Right. I refused pants at this pandemic. I think that was the best part, was the pants-free part. But I liked that before. I set up a little page, like an LLC called Pants Free Marketing, and I haven't done anything with it yet. But I imagine that's where we're going with all of this. I imagine I'll roll out this platform to agents and loan officers and let them, participate in the train wreck or whatever this is that I've created.
You heard it here first, folks. Yeah.
Pants Free Marketing. I guess we'll see where it goes.
Tell us. I have a few questions here, kind of to wrap things up. First is, where do you see things going from here? Not in terms of mortgage and interest rates and things, but just like you said, how business has changed. First, how do you think it's going to change for you, and how this has changed how you're going to do business, and how do you think it needs to? Everybody needs to adapt to this new market.
So I think before all this happened, we all realized that there was an iBuyer pandemic, and there were the Rocket Mortgages of the world, and we were all going consumer direct, and it was going to be all online based, right? We all saw that coming. It's the writing on the wall. That the big fear in 5 to 10 years, we won't have real estate agents and loan officers. We'll just be obsolete robots. That everything's automated, right? Like, that's been the fear, the really real fear for a lot of tinfoil hat wearing agents and loan officers. But I think that's, becoming more of a reality. I think if you weren't ready for technology, I hope that this last 90 days got you there. But I don't think you should just throw people blindly into automation and never call them, because It's always going to be a people business. So you have to find that perfect mixture of, how can I call 200 people a week without losing my mind? Because you can reasonably only have those 20 substantial calls about other people's problems without legitimately losing your mind, or I can't. Like, I start taking on their drama and their frustrations, and I can't make that many calls. But my robots can be touching people. Hey, you remember you started that app 3 weeks ago? You want to finish it? Can you call me? That's an email that can get sent. So I think if you're automating what you do and personalizing your automation to how Danica works or how Curtis works, that sets you above and beyond everybody else. So I don't think that you need to be a robot. I just think you need to be working smarter and harder. So automate the things you can automate, delegate the things you hate doing, and focus on the things you're good at and you enjoy doing. So, for me, that's marketing and making it rain with people that want mortgages. I'm not great at crossing T's anymore. I'm not about that life. I left the underwriting world for a reason. But I'm having fun selling them and making sure that these mortgages close when they're supposed to. And at the end of the day, if we're not changing the world, what are we even doing? I think at the end of this, nothing changes for me. This is what I've been working up to. I just had no idea. So I just got to keep tweaking it and making sure my robots sound like me and my assistant sounds like me. My agents and I are in sync. Like, I think we just keep oiling the machine at this point.
That's great. That's great advice for really any market, but especially with the pivot and what has changed, what has happened. We've seen agents. We've seen a lot of our customers double their production, and that's your experience. And I think there is tremendous opportunity in here. We've seen a lot of agents that dabbled in both the mortgage and the real estate space, and they're deciding to get out. And I think that can be a good thing. We want fully committed people in our industry, and I think there's a lot of opportunity. You've certainly created sustainability and stability in your business, and we really appreciate. Any last thoughts in terms of advice that you would give to agents?
Yeah, I don't think we ever even made it there. I think they should be clearly using your services and, try to help people avoid foreclosures because they're coming. Help people that are in trouble get their house short sold because they're coming. How are you going to find it? Well, you look at the expireds and the FSBOs. Those are the people that were using the iBuyer platforms. So think about that. Zillow and all those people put millions of dollars into marketing to an ideal iBuyer client. So why not, I came up with this, why FSBO when you can FSBA, like for sale by agent is so much easier, build that funnel, have fun with everyone wanting to move and feeling like the walls are caving in. Like if you want to hear the message, somebody else wants to hear the message, get it out there, just be creative and do what you love. And you're going to attract the people that want what you're doing and you're going to enjoy it the whole way. Yeah. So I think you just got to focus on what your message is and what your audience is and figure out how to best implement that strategy into your life. It seems easy, but it wasn't. It wasn't. We're still building.
Yeah. 16 years of underwriting, 4 years of doing mortgages, and you're an overnight success.
I wouldn't say overnight, but it kind of looks like it from a distance.
Right. I think that's my point. Is it takes time. I love the expectations of, look, you got to do this for 6 months before you're gonna have a few people that will start to reach out to you on social. But I mean, if you put that in terms of, if you spend 15 minutes a day in 6 months, I can give you several deals a month. Is that worth 15 minutes a day?
No, if you do it 5 to 7 times a day. I got 11 posts made before we jumped on this call today. Like it took 45 minutes all day of my time to get 11 posts made before we jumped on. And I made another one right before we jumped on. So I have stuff floating out there. My friends are still whipping it up out there. So people are still seeing my stuff while I'm talking to you guys.
Right.
Like if you're not constantly in front of your audience, I don't even know what you're doing in sales. Like if this is your strategy, then you need to be consistent with your Facebook posts and be approachable. Like don't talk about real estate all the time. Nobody wants to hear about that. They want to know what you're doing with your kids and your dogs and your food. Like people are nosy and they want to answer questions about themselves too. So engage with them, ask them questions, and then engage back. That's how you get seen on Facebook.
I love it. And so you wrote that one down. Did you have any others written down?
I'm thinking through a bunch of things. I'm for why FSBO and FSBA, but did you know your houses in your area are 100% financing? So market to buyers and sellers in USDA areas. You can still put in zip codes and Facebook targets. So why not go find the USDA regions with your loan officer and co-brand a funnel together, split the cost. Any funnel you run is $5 a day. So for $75 each, you can have 4,000 people touched in a month. And some of them are going to like what you had to say, hopefully, if you say it right.
What is your cost per lead with your funnels?
About $2 or $3 per lead at this point. It's about 60% conversion to conversation, and it's of course the typical 1 to 2% closed out of Facebook funnels.
Right.
So to me, honestly, Facebook funnels are they're kind of fluff, but it builds your database, and these people, sometimes they close 27 months after I generated the lead. As long as I'm consistently following up, it's all about consistency. Choose what you want to do and do it every single day. So I just get to play around on Facebook all day. And it works for me.
And it works. Yeah, your goal is 20. You need a couple more. How do people in North Texas, agents, get a hold of you to help you push you over your goal for June?
They go to greatestlo.com.
Greatestlo.com. And Danica, thank you so much for what you're doing, for your attitude in the industry, for the optimism that you can share. And then there's a lot of gold nuggets. I'm gonna repeat a few of them here. Throw out your 2020 business plan and start over. Segment your database and focus your time on the people who you can help now instead of the people who need help long term. Shift the focus of time to those people, still maintaining some contact with the others, but a different type of contact. At least 20 calls a day. I mean, 20 calls a day to
non-negotiable
deals is unbelievable.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's 100 calls a week, and that's 400 calls a month. So if you're making that many calls a month to higher intent leads, you're converting 20 loans for a loan officer. I don't know how that translates to real estate because I just look at my numbers. I don't compare myself to anybody. But I don't know. Imagine if you made 400 phone calls a month in real estate, you'd be wildly successful. If that's what makes you happy. If you hate making phone calls, then that's not your thing. Mail a letter, go knock on a door, do something different. Just do something. And
well,
stick
400 phone calls in a month is, one, it's not that many, but two, I think what your success comes from 400 highly targeted calls to the right people. And I think that's a really important lesson, but that didn't come until you built a database over 3.5 years
of 8,500 people.
Yeah. Of generating leads, posting, engaging, and then you have the opportunity to only do 400 calls to have that kind of success.
Yeah.
And what we see in our business, because we have dialing technology and the leads and the phone numbers. Mm-hmm. We see as people dial or do lead generation activities like you do on social media and add those people to their network over time, they don't have to call every day like they used to. Because we have some people that get on the phone 6 hours a day and call. Well, if you do that for long enough and you build your database and follow up with your database the way you've been talking, you can graduate from the grind mm-hmm. and work your sphere of influence.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at. I'm making that transition right now. So I'm honestly still figuring things out, but it's time for the next level in my business. I think it's been a fun ride, and it's going to be a lot cooler from here on out because I get to work with only the people I enjoy working with at this time, and everyone else can just go pound sand. Like I just don't need them all. But right. Think of the power that REDX and funnels and my follow-up robots, like the combination of those things, it's really, really powerful. It would be really powerful. I need access to this information that you guys have.
Well,
so if you could work on that would be great.
About that's an easy thing for me to do for you. So, look, thank you so much for being on the show. I'm going to ask you, Danica, to hang out afterwards, and we'll do a few post-show wrap-up things. For the audience here, thank you so much for joining us, for being here. Remember, we're doing these all the time, and our goal is to help you create stability and opportunity in any marketplace. So coming up, if you go to our website, up in the top navigation, there's COVID-19, and just click on that. It takes you to the page with all of our future episodes and all of our past episodes that are recorded. So coming up on the 29th at 1:30 Mountain Time, we are going to be interviewing John Kitchens. I think it's going to be a great, another great episode. Danica, thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.
Appreciate you guys.